August 11th, 2021 work session of the Richmond Community Schools. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If we could have the reading of the mission and vision.
Richmond Community Schools guides students on pathways of learning to a future of limitless possibilities.
The vision statement of Richmond Community Schools is a community nurturing mind, body, and spirit to prepare students for lives of choice, purpose, and service.
Before we move on to public commentary, I will add, because of the number of people speaking, we'll be moving to 4 minutes, so each person will be allowed 4 minutes. Mr. Mops will keep the time. And I will also add that our policy is to wear masks. We have a number of people in the audience who are unmasked against policy. We will allow you to speak today and today only if you're not going to follow the policies. If you prefer to come to our next meeting, you'll be asked to wear a mask and only allowed in the building if you have a mask on, if that's our current policy and our plan. So given that, Mrs. Claypool, who's our first person?
Chris Monahan.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to speak, Dr. Wright, school board. I'm here to talk about, obviously, the mask mandate and my concerns. You may not know me. I'm a pastor in the area. We run the Hunger Relief Center in our town. We minister to over 6,000 families, sometimes each month. As a leader of that organization, I let people make their own health choices. They have every right to make their own health choices. And part of what we're here tonight to talk about is the integrity and sound judgment that I would hope that this board would make when it comes down to making decisions regarding our children and our school system. Basically about the harmfulness of wearing masks. People don't consider that wearing masks for extended periods of time is not healthy, and it's something that as a legislative body is really the legislative is the only one that can make laws that enforce wearing mask mandates. Are not designed to be, no health official can make a law. Only a legislative body can make a law. And it's our concern as part of this community is that we are not giving in to health information and not forcing someone based on we don't know what everyone's health needs are. You don't know what my health needs are or the health needs are of our children or our teachers. And to force a mandate upon this body is against the law, because everyone has a right to make their own decisions based upon the medical device that they receive from my doctor. If my doctor says, you can't wear a mask, it's not good for you, I need to follow his advice, not some mandate that is made, and it's not made by a legislative body. That's what makes it different. And there's a number of reasons why I'm against the mask policy. The Food and Drug Administration designates face masks as medical devices. So this is policy, the Food and Drug Cosmetics Act, Section 201H. As such, a use of face masks is regulated in every state. Requiring or coercing someone to wear a medical device or mask may be punishable as the unlicensed practice of medicine, which is a crime in all states. And I can't fault people for not understanding this. But none of you are medical professionals probably, and none of you have the right to tell me the decisions I should make about what I put over my mouth. Additionally, anyone harmed by a person practicing medicine without a license may also sue for damages in a civil court, whereby such persons may be liable for any foreseeable injury that results from that misconduct. So as a school board, I want to remember the decisions that you make here are not based on your decisions can affect our children and our teachers. Do you really know the effects of long-term mask wearing? Do you know that? And can you be assured that you are going to be financially responsible for the physical, emotional, psychological damages that are caused by masks? Are you willing to pay those damages? Because that is something very foreseeable that we need to be aware of. Moreover, forcing anyone to wear a mask to enter is a violation of the Federal Civil Rights Act. which is the Disabilities Act, if you're requiring me to wear a mask, and I say I have a disability that doesn't allow me to wear a mask, and you're forcing me to wear a mask, do you understand what just happened here? You're violating the law. And this is something that is the Constitution, and I'm not criticizing anyone here for not knowing this, but I will say that this is the reason why I refuse to wear a mask, because it's my God-given right, and this is something that each of us have to be aware of. You know, there are personal health decisions cannot be mandated by law, and these mandates might, the best I could say is strongly encourage
Time's up.
wearing a mask. That's about as forceful as I would allow you to go. Thank you for your
Could you
time.
state your name, please, for the record?
Chris Monahan,
Thank you, Chris.
thank you.
And your address, sir?
My address is 3340 Webster Road, Webster, Indiana. Thank you.
John Michael.
Hello, and thank you for listening to me tonight. My name is John Michael, and I'm a 1984 graduate of Richmond High School. The biggest lie the devil ever told is that he doesn't exist. I'm here today to ask the Richmond School Board and executives to start a discussion about changing the Richmond High School Red Devil mascot. When I was a child, my grandmother would pray that this mascot would get changed. I'm sure that she was not the only grandparent or parent that felt that way. I recently heard a story about a young man who was not allowed to play on the Richmond High School football team because his mother was uncomfortable with the name Red Devils. You probably have an opinion about her decision, but regardless of your thoughts on this matter, it was an issue of conscience for this mother. We should respect that. Her Christian values deemed a devil as the adversary of a Christian. If she allowed her son to play on a team that called themselves devils, then she was violating her beliefs. The Bible this mother reads says, "Be sober-minded, be watchful. Your adversary, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion, seeking someone to devour." That's 1 Peter 5:8. I hope you wouldn't ask a student of a synagogue to play for a team that called themselves the Nazis. According to the Oxford Dictionary, the word devil is most often thought of as the chief evil spirit or Satan, a very wicked or cruel person, or a mischievously clever or self-willed person. We must consider how inappropriate this is referring to the youth of our city. So today we want this type of discrimination to stop. The name Red Devils must be changed, and we must give our students and faculty the opportunity to offer a name we all can be proud of for Richmond schools. To label a team of young people as devils is not a decision any executive should be proud of or attempt to defend. In May of 2021, Kicks 96 posted an article online about a Richmond High School basketball player arrested for having a gun in school. Above the headline are the RHS initials and an image of the Richmond Red Devil mascot. On the front page of the August 5th, 2021 Palladium item, there is a picture and article about the newly renovated Tiernan Center Court. In the center of this newly renovated basketball court is a large image of Satan himself.
One minute.
On August 9th of 2021, an RHS student arrived at my front door to sell a discount card to help pay for football uniforms and equipment. I had second thoughts on purchasing a card when I saw the Red Devil mascot displayed on the front of the card. I purchased a discount card to support the RHS students. However, I do not intend on using this card at these local businesses or carrying it on my person. How much longer are we going to project this demonic image on our students and community? Enough is enough. Now is the perfect time to change this demonic mascot and project a more positive and encouraging image of the RHS students and community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sonia Young. Sonia? Oh, I didn't mean to sign up. Okay. And how about Carol? Yeah. Yeah. I'm sorry. That's okay.
Good evening. My name is Pastor Harold Young. I am also part of the Gateway congregation. I'm the outreach pastor with Pastor Chris Monahan, and I too stand in agreement with Matt. It's time to get rid of the nonsense. Listen, God created us as human beings. He created our immune system to operate under any circumstance. And then we have a plandemic. It's not a pandemic, it's a plandemic that comes to take away our liberties. This is nonsense. Why put our children through this nonsense? Why put our community through this nonsense? We trust in the one that created us to take care of us, not in the laws of man that are defined for whatever political purposes or reasons that they're defined for. As it pertains to the mascot, it's a simple question. Does naming or labeling our kids a devil, whether it be a red, I came from Shortridge High School in Indianapolis, Indiana. We were called the Blue Devils. But the question is just simple, and you can ask yourself this question: does it bring glory to God? And the answer is a resounding no. And we can do these subtle things in our lives, and we don't realize that they have effects that are unseen, and later on in life they may come back to hunt our children. We're here to bring glory to our kingdom, glory to Richmond High School, and also to support our community in any way that we can to see our children grow and have a better life. And calling them devils is not that avenue. Thank you.
Thank you.
Allie Culbertson.
My name is Callie Culbertson, and I am here to speak about the mask mandate. I feel that it's wrong. You know, you're giving people a false sense of security by having them wear this mask. This is not an N95 mask. It's not going to protect you from COVID-19. Look at the PCR testing that came out. They couldn't differentiate for 18 months whether you had the flu or COVID, but all of those cases were COVID, no matter what. So you're going off of unrealistic statistics. 98.8% of people survive from this. Again, this is a false sense of security. Making a child sit in a classroom all day with this is distracting, and every time they touch it, they're contaminating it. And it can also give you pneumonia and multiple things. And for you guys to mandate it when you look at Centerville, Hagerstown, Northeastern, Eaton, New Paris, Liberty, none of them are mandating this, but RCS feels that they have the right to take away individual rights. That's in the Constitution. It's not right. And I don't agree with having my child sit in a mask all day. And he's ADHD, so he's constantly fidgeting, touching it. I don't like it. And I just want you guys to really think about this mask mandate, because it's wrong. I mean, if you want to provide a waiver for the parents that don't want their child to wear a mask or that have medical reasons that they cannot wear a mask, go ahead and provide it. But to say that if you are not wearing your mask, and if you are not wearing your mask, you will be sent home and you do not have the right to a public education because you do not have a mask on is wrong. It's wrong. It's wrong.
That's right.
This is a public school and people pay tax dollars. This is not a private school. If you were Seton, of course, Seton's not even mandating a mask. It's wrong.
Thank you.
Mr. Weber, I realize the board doesn't usually, and it's not necessarily appropriate for the board to engage the people that are here to speak their opinion, I think. But we do have in our policy, when there's misinformation that's disseminated I feel an obligation to point that out. And anyone should understand that if they have a valid medical waiver for the masking requirement, that is in fact a recognized exception to the plan
I
we
was
have.
told that we could not sign a waiver by the school.
So I want to make sure
That's what
everybody
it
understands
said.
that. There's no questions on the board, I took it to that point. That's been understood.
So a valid medical waiver, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Claypool?
Beth Hare.
Hello, my name's Beth Herrick. My son attends Test Intermediate School. It was his first day today, and it was a good day. I've been building up his repertoire of apparel in tones of red. So if you are going to change anything, I hope it stays red, just as like a good old-fashioned common sense Richmond, keep it red. I want to thank you for the sound judgment that this board showed at the last meeting that I attended, the last meeting of your public meeting, in supporting Dr. Wright, and the sound judgment that Dr. Wright and his cabinet that he conferred with used in creating a mask mandate for Richmond Community Schools for anyone who enters the building, including all students, staff, teacher leaders, and public, members of the public. I appreciate that the transparency that has been shown in working with the Wayne County Department of Health and also being in accordance with the Indiana Department of Education. I believe that requiring masks for all who enter the buildings is a clear-sighted policy that uplifts and supports the health and safety of all at the Richmond Community Schools. So I want to thank you for that, and I want to make sure that you hear that there are people who want to thank you for that. I've had dozens of conversations with folks since that came out. The minute my phone rang, I was in the middle of a pickleball game, and I was like, y'all, I've been waiting for this call for a week. I took the call, and then we won the game. We only had 1 point left. So it was important to me, though, to take that call and cheerlead on. A little bit about the Delta variant. 90% of U.S. cases are Delta at this point in time. We know that Delta variant is more transmissible. We know that vaccinated persons with breakthrough cases do spread the virus. That was not the case with the other variants. Unvaccinated persons, including about 62% of our county population, and youth under 12, like my son, who do not yet have the opportunity to get the vaccine of any kind, are at greater risk with this Delta variant. Your policy supports the health of all of our students, staff, teacher leaders, and the entire community. So I want to thank you for using good, old common sense Richmond values and guidance. Your leadership ensures the safest possible future for my son and the entire community. And you did it, and I thank you, and I know that others around the community want to thank you as well. Time's gonna tell what happens, and I feel safer with the decisions that you made, and I wanna make sure you hear my thank you. So if I haven't said thank you, I wanna say thank you. Thank you. Thank you for the time.
Thank you. Ms. Claypool?
Emily Christian.
Hello. I want to first start by saying it's so nice to have such a big group of people here. I'm kind of used to being the only one in the audience, so it's great to see you all. You're welcome to come anytime.
Your name and address before.
Do I need to what?
State your name and address,
Oh,
please.
my name is Emily Christian. I live here in Richmond. And I would like to just point out that at the last school board meeting, these guys all discussed a great deal, all of the pros and cons of having masks in our schools as a requirement. And I will say that it's a hard discussion to have with anybody, but doing it in a public space where everything is written down and everybody hears everything and it's all public. So I want to say I appreciate that you guys are the support that we have here in Richmond. You are a very good example of how we all should be handling ourselves in public. And so I appreciate that. I would also like to point out that I am a preschool preschool para, and I'm with preschool all day. And today was our first day. The kids were all masked. They had no problems. We had to remind a few, I think twice, we reminded a few of them, pull it up over your nose, you're good to go. And so if a preschool class can handle it, they weren't fidgeting with them, they weren't messing with them. They understand that we are wearing the masks and we are doing it fine. We had breaks throughout the day where we spread them out and they were distanced. They had breakfast, they had 30 minutes with no mask. They had snack, another 25 minutes-ish, depending on how long they took, with no mask, and they had lunch with no mask. And then we also had a break when they were at their seats. So it is not a full day of masking all day. They do have breaks, and they are comfortable in those masks. Again, thank you for all that you guys do.
Thank you. All right, that's the end of our normal public commentary. We also have a second public commentary for return to in-person learning, and I will open that up if anyone would like to speak on our return to in-person learning. Yes.
My only concern is if you are going to require this
Name and
mask.
address again.
Oh, I don't feel comfortable giving my address out in front of everybody. I'll give you my name, Callie Culbertson.
Okay, we'd like to know that you're in the district. That's
Oh,
fine.
yeah, I'm from Richmond, Indiana, 47374. But my only concern is if you are going to continue this mask mandate, I do feel that you will lose some students to other districts in Wayne County. But if you're going to require this, then you need to think about a virtual option for those that don't, because again, it's not that the kids, it might not bother them, it's the long-term effects of the mask. So if you're not gonna offer, it's up to you. If you feel comfortable today, yeah, sure. If you don't tomorrow, yeah, sure. Then you need to think about a virtual option.
Anyone else?
Pastor Harold Viana again from Gateway Church and Courtside Ministries USA. For returning students, I would say this: give them a choice. They should have the choice of whether or not to wear the mask or not. If they want to wear the mask, great. If they don't, great. But let them at least have that choice. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any others? All right.
Chris Monahan, Webster, Indiana. There has been some reports of parents who have been concerned about masks and have actually sent them to the lab for analysis, resulting in a lot of contamination that happens unmasked, continually breathing that air continually. Again, we do not understand the long-term effects of mask wearing, and this is something that I want to highly encourage this board to decide. You can strongly encourage it, but it should never be forced against the parents or the children. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Maybe I would like to say something, if you don't mind.
Yes.
My grandchildren were going to start school in Richmond schools.
Could you state your name and address, please?
I live here in Richmond. My name's Carol Maupin. And I have small grandchildren that were going to start in preschool and kindergarten last year and this year. Last year we decided to homeschool. And then actually my son took his boys out of the district to go to school. So you are losing students in this, and they won't come back as long as you're doing these type of mandates. And I was really glad to see you got this position, by the way, when I read that, so I was real
Thank you,
proud of
ma'am.
that.
Thank
I've
you.
followed you since high school, so.
Thank you so much.
But yeah, I would hope, that you would let the kids breathe freely, and study what's going on, because it's all charades.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. I think everyone has spoken. I'd like to thank the community for coming in and participating in the meeting. And we'll move on to item 3, consent items. Dr. Ray?
Board of Trustees, President Weber, cabinet community, come to you tonight to ask for approval of consent items 3.01, 3.02, and 3.03.
I'll make the motion that we approve the consent items as presented to include the addendum.
Motion by Jeff Schleifer. Second by Brad Walton. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 7-0. Moving on to action items. I'd like to run through these quickly if we can.
Board President, trustees, I ask that Ms. Sheila Hobbs, our Director of Exceptional Learning, approach the podium to speak for approval of action item 4.01, speech and language services.
Good evening. This evening, I bring to you the speech and language pathologist services with Presence Learning. Presence Learning is the leading provider of online special education related services nationwide. It's online therapy. We have had this position posted for 6 of my 7 years in this position. I've offered the speech and language pathologist to 3 different candidates that were qualified, and they are all leaving for higher pay rates at medical facilities. So at this point, we have had great success with our online therapy, and we would like to continue that moving forward for the 21-22 school year.
Thank you. Happy to entertain a motion.
I make the motion, we pass action item 4.01, speech and language services.
Motion by Kristen Brunton, second by Aaron Stevens. Any questions or comments?
This is the same thing we did last year, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. This will be our 3rd school year working through this. Yeah. We're actually having to add more sites because we're adding kids, losing pathologists and time. I should probably publicly thank Barb Bergdahl, who is working for us part-time continually. So I appreciate that. So she is keeping that number down a little lower for me.
Keep it up, Paul.
Yeah.
I'll also add that I'm aware that other corporations around the state are struggling with the same thing.
Yes.
with speech pathologists.
We're spending a lot of time as a directors group speaking with the speech and language programs around the state, trying to get them to offer more. But to be a speech and language pathologist, you have to have a master's degree. And so a young adult coming out with a master's degree has quite a bit of debt. So they're looking to make a little more money, and they're going to do that in a medical setting. Yep.
All right, thank you. Any additional questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Passes 7-0. Dr. Wright?
Board President, trustees, I also ask that Mrs. Hobbs stay at the podium to ask for approval for item 4.02, the 2021-2022-24 Dreambox contract for Hibbard.
It is recommended that the school board of trustees accept the attached agreement that you received. Dreambox, an online learning platform that supports math instruction for the next 3 years as presented for Hibbard program building. Dreambox is a digital math program for grades K to 4 and combines a fun and engaging math learning environment with rigorous standards-based curriculum. Dreambox lessons are interactive experiences that promote active learning and independent critical thinking and respond to each student's strategies and decisions in the moment. The agreement is to have 50 licenses for grades 3 and 4 for over the next 3 years. The amount is $4,200, which includes student licensing, professional development for the teachers. The ESSER funds have been approved for the purchase of Dreambox.
Thank you. Happy to entertain a motion.
Yeah, I move that we accept the Dreambox contract.
I'll
Motion by
second.
Nicole Stoltz, second by Jeff Schleifer. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you.
Dr. Wright?
Board President, trustees, I ask that for item 4.03, Mrs. Jennifer O'Brien present for approval.
Thank you. We have an agreement with Communities and Schools. This is actually an addendum to that agreement. And this agreement will provide homeless student assistance to all RCS schools from the Community and Schools Resource Navigator. That will be funded with ESSER $3. At this time, I recommend the board approve the Communities and Schools Agreement as presented.
Thank you.
I move to approve the CIS addendum 4.03.
Motion by Aaron Stevens. Second by Nicole Stoltz. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 7-0. Dr. Wright.
I would note that we do have with us tonight Melissa Vance, who is the Resource Navigator, and also Becky Murray from Communities and Schools. So thank you for your work, and we look forward to even more work together.
Thank you for your support. We've already, Melissa has been working diligently with a child who's 9 that ended up walking here part of the way from Kentucky. So we're helping them with housing and food and those types of things. So he will be going to Crestdale. So we're in that process, and Vegas is helping us do that. So thank you very much. The additional funds that will be needed, we will be writing grants for, which will be the hotels, the food, that type of thing. So thank you for your support. And now we're covering the entire Wayne County school districts.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Dr. Wright.
Board President, trustees, for action item 4.04, the 2021 to 2022 latchkey agreement with the COVID addendum. I recommend that the board approves, I recommend that the board approve the latchkey agreement as presented.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Jeff Schleifer.
Second.
Second by Aaron Stevens. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 7-0. Dr. Wright.
Board President, trustees, I ask for action item 4.05, the McGuire Hall renovation bid recommendation be awarded to Carroll Electric, Inc. as presented.
Thank you.
Motion to accept it.
Motion by Brad Walton.
Second.
Second by Keith Morey. Any questions or comments? Thank you. I'll just add, I know there's been a lot of work going into that project. Thank you, board members and administration. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 7-0. Dr. Wright.
Board President, trustees, I ask that for action item 4.06, the resolution be approved as presented.
I will make a motion that 4.06 is approved.
Second.
All right. Motion by Brad Walton. Who got the second?
She can have it.
Kristen Brunton. Any questions or comments?
I just want to thank all of our staff that really put in the extra time and effort last year. This was a way that we were able to say thank you. This was something that we felt was important to say we see that you did a lot of work last year, and we want to just commend you on that. So thank you.
Thank you. Any additional questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 7-0. Let's go ahead and knock out policies. It won't take but a minute. We have item 5.01, policy 6530, lending of corporation-owned equipment, second reading.
I'll make that motion.
Approve 5.01.
Motion by Brad Walton.
Second.
Second by Jeff Schleifer. Any questions or comments? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 7-0. Policy 5.0, item 5.02, policy 1470, electronic participation by board members in board meetings, first reading.
I motion to approve policy 1470, first reading.
Motion by Brad Walton.
Second.
Second by Aaron Stevens.
The only comment I would make would, I think you might want to review the basic layout of your your board policies per se. This one, to me, seemed to be more apropos to your bylaws. I assume it embodied what you thought you were recommending, Jeff. I mean,
I agree with you.
Okay, so, but we can correct that, we can address that issue on second reading and give anyone else who might have issues or concerns about that. I don't think it's very substantive, but I just think it's a matter of organization, if you will.
Okay. So would we like to move it to second reading then?
We had a second, right?
Yeah, we had it.
Okay. So, any other questions or comments?
I don't know who seconded it.
Aaron did. Seeing none, all those in favor of moving it to second reading, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 7-0. We have tabled our work session for this evening. So I'll move on to item 7, board reports and old business. Open the floor if anyone has any old business or board reports.
I do. We have Governor Holcomb coming to town. He's going to speak at Forest Hills on September 9th. It's a good opportunity for us to, if we have some, it's going to be a moderated speech, and Jeff Carter from the Bethany Seminary is going to be the moderator. We had a Issues and Advocacy Committee meeting today with the Chamber, which I'm a part of. So that was the topic of our discussion. So I didn't know if it would be smart, if we have some items that we would like to bring up, if some of us would want to attend, and if we had anything that we wanted to submit to Jeff as a potential question on our behalf, since he is going to be the moderator. So just throwing that out there.
Thank you.
Jeff, when is that meeting?
September 9th.
You said it's the Chamber's hosting it, and where's it at?
It's at Forest Hills Country Club.
Invitation only?
Well, you have to buy tickets, and it's limited seatings. It's $35 a ticket, and it's from 11:30 to 1 p.m. on September 9th. I plan on probably attending. I haven't done that so yet, but I thought, we have often talked about we would like to talk to our legislators, so this would be an opportunity. And I could get with Jeff if we want to form one or two or three questions for topics for discussion. So I'm just throwing it out there. I'm willing to help facilitate that if you want to.
I think that's an excellent idea.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
11:30 to 1.
Ms. Claypool, if you could send out an email to the board, seeing who's interested, then if we could, Dr. Wright, pursue moving forward. And maybe have an email thread on send questions to you at this point.
Well, that'd be fine. I'd be glad to facilitate it, but I just thought it's a golden opportunity. If we present 3 or 4 or 5 questions, we may not get them all asked, but at least we'll be in a venue where...
Yeah, I think that's excellent. Thank you. Any other old business?
I just didn't know if we wanted to, if anybody felt we needed to have more discussion about any of the issues that were brought up tonight in public commentary. I don't know. Give the opportunity. Sounds like no.
Well, I think one of the things that I think would help, and it doesn't matter what side of the issue you're on. This has been a pretty divisive issue across the nation for the last year and a half. So, but I think, I guess what I would like to see is I would like to make sure that we all have discussion about this or over this topic without angers flaring up. I'd like to see. I think there's some things that would do us good as we move forward in having discussions as far as protocols and procedures, and questions like, are we going to allow them when they're up at the podium to take their mask off to speak, and just some of the outlines of setting kind of a standard or a protocol right now, because right now there's a lot of questions about well, am I allowed to do this or am I not allowed to do that? And we're not going to be able to address every one of those situations. But I think if we approach it with an open mind and try to respect everybody's right, and everybody has a right, the person with the mask or the person without the mask. So, how do we bridge that gap so we can stay together as a community? I think that's important. So I just think as we move forward, just how do we address those? How do we think about reacting to those? Because it is a divisive issue. So I guess that's my 2 cents.
I wanted to revisit the valid medical waiver. How does that work? So Ron, you were saying like that is something that if someone presents a valid medical waiver, so if someone
there's that potential. There always has been.
So a person would need to go to a doctor and be examined and have a doctor's note then, or how does that work?
I think it's up to the administration to determine what level of sophistication they want for that to grant that waiver. I don't think it behooves us to second guess a licensed physician's conclusion absent. If the person shows up symptomatic, that's an entirely different issue. In case you do have insomnia anytime soon, check your email today. I sent you 2 articles, one by the same Duke University physicians and research folks. The Cliff Note version is the less than 2-page article that was printed in the New York Times August 10th. I guess that would be yesterday. The longer one is the full-blown study that talks about masking in public schools and comes down strongly for mandated masking, and that's based upon a study of over 1 million students. So take a look at that. I think the point I want to make is that we said originally back a year ago when we developed issues or policies and practices to address the pandemic, that it was a fluid situation. I think one thing we have to keep in mind, depending on how accurate the news reports are, we could only be maybe a matter of 2 months away from having at least a emergency use authorization from the Food and Drug Administration for a vaccine that could be administered to students under 12 years of age.
Down to 6, I think.
And I think that would be a very timely issue that would certainly merit a re-examination of whatever your policies and procedures are at that point in time, if not sooner. But just keep that in mind. This is reassure the public, like we did originally. This will be a fluid situation, and we expect change based upon circumstances. Right now, the circumstances, as indicated in today's dashboard report, are not very promising. But hopefully, the upside of the bad news is that more people are being vaccinated. So just have to.
And I guess I'd like to even add to that again. When we saw the plan last week, when we had our executive meeting last Tuesday, we caught some things that were not consistent in the plan. And I think one of the things that we have to remember, and again, this makes no difference on which side of the issue that you're on, but part of our discussion was the contract tracing and what if somebody does test positive and what's involved. And so I think anything that we can do to help us not close the school down because we've got 5 kids in the classroom that tested positive, or a mask with or without being worn. I think anything that we can do to put things in place to eliminate staff being gone for 10 days, students being gone for 10 days, because that's going to disrupt the learning as well. So I'm viewing it in multiple different ways, and part of it for me is trying to limit it being transmitted to another person. I don't know. There's a whole lot of different ways, and I have nothing but respect for people who disagree with that, because I, for one, would not like, I don't want to wear the mask either. But I'm trying to put all of the reasons out there for the bigger cause, what is best for all the students in the community and all of the staff, because there's a lot of different things that we can do. I mean, California, I think today or yesterday, just mandated that all public school staff members have to be vaccinated. That's a whole nother topic. I think that just happened. Did that just today or yesterday?
Yeah.
So
There was a protest out at Kettering Health Systems today in Dayton because they were forcing their nursing staff to, anybody in the medical profession had to have the vaccine. And so it's kind of interesting how last year's 2021 heroes were 2022 unemployed, is what some of the signs they were saying. I mean,
well, but if you look at it, if you think about the reasons for getting vaccinated, and I'm not trying to impose my beliefs on anyone's that are different than mine, but I personally chose to get vaccinated because it puts me in the 95% effective safe category. Does it mean I'm not going to end up in a hospital with a ventilator? No, but it also means that I stand a whole lot less likely of a chance. So, we can look at a lot of different policies, but requiring a mask is a lot simpler policy than us requiring all of our children 12 years and older to be vaccinated. I mean, so I don't.
Which we also do for other vaccines.
Which we actually do for measles and chickenpox. Right. So now, and I know the FDA is going to be coming out within the next week, saying that the emergency authorization is gone and it's actually approved now by the FDA. I think that's supposed to be within the next week. So that's a whole nother category of discussions that I could see the state forcing us to have. And what's unfortunate about it is I'll be the first one to stand up and say, I am not a medical professional. I am not. But what really disappoints me is I feel like they're forcing us to be. This decision shouldn't be at my level. I didn't go to medical school and have 12 years of debt and 12 years of training, and all I know is my personal belief. So, just if you disagree, try to look at it from the other side as well. That's all I ask.
Well, I appreciate the discussion. I would just simply add the point that, we have to be very careful in what we do, because we do not need to put our faculty and staff in the position of police or this scenario has this. I mean, I think that a simple, straightforward approach is best for our students and our staff. And so I would be very cautious in kind of having too many things that don't, make it their job more difficult. So that's all. Anything else?
no, I know we got a lot of overwhelming support from the REA to go with mask requirement back to school. And Keith, you're in a position, you're in a school every day.
Yep.
I was until until 2 days ago. And just thinking back to last year, even when we only had half the kids, you're sitting there, and as much as I hated wearing a mask, and I whether I believe in it or not is beside the point, but I didn't want to be forced to have to wear it. But when my kids come home from school, I know where they're going that night. I know what we're doing, who we're around. I don't know where your kids are going, Nicole. I don't know where your kids are going, John. I don't know where any of your kids are going. So to sit up there and be forced to be in a group with anywhere from 10 to 30 kids, don't have no idea where they've been. It's hard to control all the variables. And and who knows, maybe I'm the one who's letting my kids go out and just go everywhere. I mean, you have no control what I do with my kids in the evening, where they're at. So being in the classroom environment, it's tough when you don't know everything coming into it. So the next morning, you don't know that Billy rode to school with somebody who's COVID positive. You don't know any of that. And if the masks help at all, I understand it. I mean, it doesn't mean I agree with it, but I understand it. Being, especially in a tight classroom, where last year we had the mask mandate and we only had half occupancy. And we were still able to get through with relatively no problem. This year we're back full bore. And it's a lot more crowded. I can see where the teachers feel a lot safer having to do it. I could also see entertaining the idea that if your classroom facilitates it and you have the room to spread out and take your mask down, then I think we should give our teachers the ability to do that. But to say we're not requiring masks or make it optional, it does put the teachers in a vulnerable position that are there that, they don't know where Billy and Johnny and Susie were last night or who ride to school, things of that nature. And I get that. But again, I don't want to, I feel bad saying you have to wear the mask, but I don't want to say you don't have to wear it either, because then the teachers are sitting up there vulnerable. And, I think it should be, personally, I think it should be up to the classroom teachers. If the facility facilitates it to where you can, like, and I think Emily talked about how the preschoolers have breaks and they were able to distance out and take them out. Great, that's awesome. I think we've got to have a common sense about this and let our teachers use their ability to think what we've hired them for and their ability to reason. If we can get in a position where we can social distance. So say I've got 6 classes and they've all got 25 kids, and except for one class I've got 10. There's no reason you can't distance out a little bit, take the mask down a little bit. You just gotta, I don't know, that's a...
Is that in our policy at all at this point?
It's like all of that stuff was in there that was all there last year.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I mean, and that policy is not like, I don't think we've all just made that up from scratch. These are things that are coming from professionals who spend their lives studying this. So I think, like Jeff mentioned, I'm not a health expert, right? So because I'm not a health expert, I'm gonna listen to the guidance of the people who have spent their entire lives studying this, okay? From multiple groups of people who have spent their entire, not just the CDC, but the Indiana State Health Department, the Wayne County Health Department, have all said in an enclosed space, you should mask. There's data enough, there is now data that shows that it stops the spread of the disease, particularly the new Delta variant. There's a lot of data out there that shows that. I think we are doing that. I know last year we gave mask breaks. I'm obviously not teaching here, but yeah, teachers give mask breaks if they're able to space it out. Right. It says right in the guidelines. There are timelines and all that is built in there, and I think we're very wise we know that kids are going to get a better education if they're in person. We know that kids made it all last year wearing masks. It makes no sense to change that right now when we're heading into a time where this Delta variant is coming and the numbers are going up again. So I just think it makes the most sense to go with what we're doing.
All right. Any other comments?
We just need to let it be known that it's in our back to school.
I guess the only other question now I would like us to address is the situation we faced here tonight. So if these folks want to come and speak again next board meeting, I think we've been
They
clear
need
up
to
to
wear a
now,
mask.
right?
Yeah, I made
The
the
expectation is
announcement.
that you will need to wear a mask,
Unless our policy,
unless we change the policy,
So
right?
they-
You'll
Changes.
discriminate against someone with a medical condition to enforce that, is what you're saying?
You're more than welcome to, well, I mean,
It sounds like if there's a medical waiver involved, then that
Well,
should
it
be.
sounds like the
Well,
medical waiver is
Mr.
just
Michael,
in
we-
the air right now. It's nothing tangible at this point. It
well, if you
sounds
can
like.
bring a note saying from a licensed doctor, saying you cannot wear a mask, and present that prior to speaking, I guess we'll consider it.
And if I'm refused with that, then I can consider a lawsuit for discrimination. Is that what you're saying?
Anybody
I would
can consider a
refer to
lawsuit at
legal
any
counsel,
time.
but I would
Again,
think that'd be more
guys,
at your
we just
will.
talked about level heads. Just, I came out here a few minutes ago, we worked through it. You know, we made a compromise. It's a hot button topic, guys, I get it. All right, everybody is dead set, dug their heels in.
Off, I'm gonna
And
catch Kevin talking.
people over here, and forgot about this whole big wide
Try to catch Kevin.
25-lane highway in the middle, called Middle
How
Road.
much was that estimate?
All right?
170,000
We get
is
it.
what we're coming up with.
I mean,
What percent is that about?
we just gotta work through this, man. Point blank, the situation sucks.
Thank
I mean,
you.
there's no other way to put it. It's rough.
Make it a choice.
Huh?
Make it a choice. You wanna wear a mask, wear it. If I don't wanna wear one, I won't.
All right, all right, it's not, this is not an open conversation tonight.
Difficult, and it's very, very simple.
I'd like to move on. Is there any additional board reports or old business? All right, moving on to upcoming meeting and preview of upcoming meeting and events.
Yes, sir. Board President, members of the board, the next board meeting will be on the 25th of August, 2 weeks from today. And within that meeting, we will continue to monitor and report as to where things are with regard to data and, as we know, the fluidity of the current situation we have in front of us. As far as events, just to highlight, today was a very successful first day back in the classroom for our students here at Richmond Community Schools. I was fortunate enough to make it to each and every school, had an opportunity to interact with thousands of students, and it was very impressive of our youngsters to be able to continue to do what they always do, which is express that they are listening, they are paying attention to we as adults, they are following guidance, and most importantly, they are willing and able to comply with what's put in front of them. In speaking with so many high school seniors and even underclassmen, the one thing that many of them, especially our senior class, referenced is the fact that they love the idea about being back in school with their classmates in full capacity. They understand that, as Mr. Walton mentioned, there are compromises and sacrifices that have to be made, which, again, being that we're in the business of teaching and learning, they're recognizing the moment for what it is. And so I just want to definitely extend kudos to those students as well as our faculty and staff. As was also referenced, the most influential people in our classrooms are the educators. And right now, I know that our educators, in speaking and meeting with them earlier this week, collectively as an entire district, are extremely confident going into our classrooms, and we're confident today with their instruction. And that, without a doubt, is where we need them to be, which is confident so that they can confidently educate our young. And so, with that being said, again, I'm looking forward to our next board meeting and the time in between, because as I expressed to students, just as was mentioned this evening, it is a fluid situation. The goal, without a shadow of a doubt, is to make it so that we can return to a sense of normalcy. The goal coming into this year overall from our administrative team, faculty and staff, was to extend the opportunity to heal. However, as we also know, the pandemic is not over. And with that being said, we'll continue to make sure that we're doing what we've been hired to do, which is protect students at all costs. And through humility, defer to, as Mr. Slifer mentioned, the professionals that in their profession do what we ideally have not been trained to do. So it's been truly impressive. I'm so excited to be home, as one of our wonderful patrons mentioned, just having the opportunity to interact with our youngsters and be in their presence and know that many of the students I was interacting with, either we are of the same bloodline, literally, and or I know of their parents, grandparents, their family lineage line. It's family. It's Richmond. And just as we've put on display this evening, the one thing that I'm so excited and proud of about our community, as well as our Board of Trustees, our cabinet leaders, is the fact that we address those difficult and hard issues. We don't run from them. We had every opportunity this evening to adjourn this meeting before it began, but instead we compromised with which in our great country, that's how we were founded, was through compromise. New Jersey and Virginia plan, or it never would have taken. I apologize, old history teacher, I get excited with history, and I get excited with civics, and I love this exercise of civic. Mr. Gary Eagles would be so proud of all of us, old history teacher, civics teacher. But to Mr. Slifer's point, it would be ideal, and in a perfect world, if some of our federal, state, and local leaders would arrive at decisions. But since they have not, and definitely in education, you ask any teacher, oftentimes what happens is that we make all the necessary adaptations, adjustments, and we eventually overcome. Educators always have found a way, just as parents, community, and most importantly, citizens of Richmond. I'm not going to say, because I know it's also a little controversial right now, but we definitely have a cherished pride, a history, and I'm just so glad to be back home. But yes, it would be nice in a perfect world if some of those other leaders would make particular decisions, but we won't wait for them. We'll continue to try and do what's best, again, from an educational standpoint, for all 4,500 plus students here in RCS.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
President?
Yes, sir.
May I express a sentimental personal observation for the day?
Yes.
And I'll be as brief as
What would
can.
you say if we said no?
Okay. I've always looked forward to the anticipated excitement of the first day back at school and seeing the looks on the kids' faces. Until recently, with things in my life, I failed to look at the faces of the teachers and those people who are working in the buildings who, over the last couple of weeks, have spent personal time, lots of personal dollars to put it into their classrooms before a student ever stepped inside there, getting to know ahead of time the names of the students, their faces, and all. And as I was at schools today, I was looking at excited kids, some faces of some scared parents, you know. But I was looking at an exhilarated, excited teaching staff, greeting kids and anxious for a new school year, filled already with uncertainties, but their desire to get back to their profession, and that is nurturing kids. And that was probably one of the highlights of my day, not just the students, but more specifically the faculty, the teachers, the staff. So.
Yeah, I would just like to add, well, yes, today was not my first day. I was calmed and reassured with your bedtime story that I watched last night. I really appreciate you reading that bedtime story. I dozed right off at that. And it took away all my jitters coming in today. It felt really good, and I appreciated that.
Such a low blow, Mr. Moore.
No, it's good. I'm not low blows. I'm lifting you up, man. It's good. I liked it.
I didn't even halfway through it, I was asleep.
Yeah, Mr. Weber, you can bang the gavel anytime.
I didn't know if you had a bell ringer.
Well, as a bell ringer, I do, and I apologize. And yes, thank you, Mrs. Hazel Baker, our wonderful communications specialist, has been doing a tremendous job. She, Mrs. Claypool, our cabinet, administrators, teachers, of making sure that we are telling our own story, per se. And so, yes, the first day jitters, hilarious. As far as a bell ringer, I'd like to acknowledge and recognize Miss Darcy Talbot from Richmond Community Schools. She was a top 25 Indiana State Teacher of the Year finalist. She was our 2020 Richmond Community Schools District Teacher of the Year, which allowed her to be eligible for the Indiana Department of Education's finalist processes. And so Darcy was a 2007 Richmond High School graduate. She, again, was a top 25 finalist. She currently, as I spoke with her, she was one of the thousands that I spoke with today, spoke with Mrs. Talbot today. She is expecting their second child next Wednesday, and so she was in the school with as much joy and security with where currently things are, and she is so excited with the upcoming life experiences. And just as also to note, she's also the proud daughter of former coach Richard Bryant, and so we wish them the best, and we congratulate her for her top 25 finish.
Fantastic. Anything else for the good of the cause?
I want to point out that I was amazed. She is at school. I mean, she is so close to giving birth, and she was dedicated and wanted to be there at least the first day for her students. And those are the teachers that we have here at Richmond. So I just want to applaud her and the others for their commitment and just.
And to your point, Mrs. Stoltz, I do apologize to continue, but to your point, that was very important for her, was to establish a precedent with the youngsters that she knew would be anxious, but she also felt very secure, comfortable, and safe with some of the decisions that were made regarding some of the health and safety measures that were taken. And she also has a very amazing and talented, experienced maternity leave educator following her lead. So we wish that educator tremendous success.
Thank you. Meeting adjourned.